Broodmother is Broodmother, and Broodmother can 1v5 in, quite a few different situations. And that's leaving Cringe Crew kind of scratching their head here. What hero naturally builds a Force Staff and wants to play versus Broodmother? Well, that hero's not getting a Force Staff, but Pudge can do some things. Doesn't care about the bullet, isn't a right-clicking carry, will be able to do quite a lot with the Rod here, but that same situation of picking Pudge versus the Lina, at least there's not a lifesteal that you're going to have to go versus as well, but you still are on that hard timer. As soon as you show in those team fights, if the Lina is big enough, she will just right-click you to death. And we saw, funnily enough, at the last team fight of that previous game, once you have the BKB, once you have the Blink Dagger, you can just Blink Dismember the Lina, but you need quite a lot of net worth. You need 17k net worth before you can close that gap and make sure that that kill actually happens. And then the Lina's scared. But until that point, it's a pretty tough matchup to play into. But I think Cringe Crew in this pick, they're just scrambling for a hero to go versus Brood.
Yeah, and obviously, considering they ran it for Realm the last time around, it's a hero that he's comfortable with and one that they feel, at least on paper, does what they're going to want it to do. But we will have to see as we are getting into the final phase of the ban's Wildcard. Will be removing the Visage. So I thought Sunlight played it relatively well the last time around. He didn't get to be maybe as active in the early stages as they might have wanted because he was going for that sort of Wraith Pact build, but just because it was slower in game 1 doesn't mean you would get the same situation here in game 2, and Wildcard don't want to deal with his damage or the familiars either.
Yeah, and it was just one of those sad instances where as soon as you start losing those team fights, all you can do on Visage is really just farm, put pressure on the waves, and he was doing a good job, honestly, because the Lina didn't go for the Boots of Travel build. Those creep waves were pretty consistently in, just by straight virtue of having the birds out onto the map, but then once your only option is the farm, you just stop fighting, and when you're not fighting on your Visage, well, that level advantage, that farm advantage, I mean, he got like what felt like a 8-9 minute Wraith Pact, and you immediately killed the mid tower, but then aside from that, didn't really get to hear that much from him, which is sad, is a little bit sad. I'm just glad we get a different hero though, because I certainly think that Cringe Crew can do a lot with another initiating hero. As I keep saying, keep pressing, if they get another playmaker, I think they're going to be a whole hell of a lot happier. I feel like, again, that's where you are going versus the Rickies, so there are a lot of heroes that you just straight up don't want to pick anymore, but honestly, am looking at a hero like even something like the Pango, I think would be kind of an okay option here. Versus Lina, you're going to get clicked a lot, but versus Broodmother, just any hero that's going to help you with the spiders a little bit is going to pay its dividends. It's just a matter of, I think, twofold. You need to figure out what's going to actually end up laning with this Sven here, and if you want to put the Lesh versus the Lina again, or if you go against everything and say we look for another core matchup versus the Lina, and then we hope that the Lesh Sven is going to be enough.
And I do want to ask you in that case, if this wildcard pick doesn't change things and it looks like the Lina is going mid, if you're Cringe Crew, what is the hero that you would want over the Lesh to take that mid matchup? Is there anything in the pool right now that's just kind of the obvious counter?
The thing is, that's the hard thing. What do you pick versus these very obnoxious heroes? Because the thing is, you can pick a hero that can do whatever versus Lina. You can pick a hero that can be great at killing Broodmother, but any hero that's going to tick both those boxes just doesn't want to get Ricky clouded. So that's the annoying thing about this draft. Any hero that can hunt is so bad versus that cloud, versus that silence, that it just feels awful. And well, I'm happy because we get to see Razor Arcana.
If he does not have the
game.
Arcana, they're
Well,
disqualified
yeah,
from
then we
Pro
got
Series.
problems.
We just kick
yeah,
them
then
out.
we got problems, but really an interesting
it.
pick though, because of course this is a throwaway core now. You've said that our carry is not going to be very impactful here, assuming that, of course, this has to almost be a carry or a core Razor.
Right.
This is going to be the Lina Broodmother show. This is just your direct counter to sap something from Cringe Crew. Of course, you know, raising an eyebrow a little bit, because at the end of the day, does sapping the Pudge's damage really matter all too much? Well, not really. He's not really bound by that damage, but we'll have to see what they go for.
Okay.
And this is the hero that I was hesitant about mentioning. They do decide to switch up the matchup in classic Stuth's hero, but a hero that in that same vein as anything else could just get run over, could just decide to immediately struggle, and then suddenly you're in a very difficult situation. Is one of those, you know, kind of unlimited heroes though, where you hit level 20, you get Midas BKB, you get that Meteor talent, and then suddenly anybody can die. But I do have some concerns here. And again, It's a hero that takes a little bit of finesse. That's not going to be your puck. That's not going to be your just slamming ability. That's no Pango. But can lane versus Lena, and we'll be able to do something, hopefully. Fingers crossed. But I do like that they get the less Fen lane. I like the stun into stun. That's going to be something they can play for at least.
Yeah, you've got some synergy to work with there. It's not the most complicated in the world, right? But sometimes the simple combos are the best. We still see Shadow Demon Mirana come out just because it's unbelievably easy to pull off. So we'll see how it goes. Good news is Sammy on the Razor does have medics, so we don't have to ban them from Pro Series. It's all good. Although, I don't know. It's Sammy. Maybe we just do it just because. But we are going to be getting into the game in just a moment. You get to see the... I don't know. I appreciate the new loading screens just so that there's something kind of different to look at.
Yeah, no, it's like we're in a battle royale, you know? We're about to drop off the battle bus and play. Oh, we're just playing Dota.
Oh, it's Dota. Oh.
Also, what was that? Empowered kill? It's something weird to show on my screen at least from the Razor Arcana, but Sammy's alt Razor items are also a little bit devious. I don't like the snakes with the tornado weapon, but I'm sure he's thought this one through thoroughly. And also interested to see what we see from Sooth's item build wise. Right now he's got the Witchblade queued up, but if there's one thing you could say kind of about everybody in this game, got some great Sunstrike setup as for Ricky. Well,
oh boy.
No Flesh Heap stack at least.
Yeah, that is true. Your Pudge is a little bit too far. Oh, a little too far away, but that's the reason why. Unfortunately, that is a very sneaky spider, so he's going to be able to get out. He's using these god-awful webs. I do not like those webs. But whatever. It is what it is. He can pick whatever cosmetics he wants. His Realm off the mark with the hook. Sunlight, though, does connect with the stun. That's going to lead into the Stormhammer as well. And Sammy may go down. Nice Laguna. Jesus, not Laguna. LSA coming out from the Lena to just kind of hold them all at bay. And okay, Wildcard dodging a second bullet there. They give up first blood, but at least you don't lose your carry. Although Sammy, he's not great on the regen front, so he might just end up going all the way back to base anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on a walk. He's on a mission. He'll be able to be top by the time the first range creep goes down, but it's funny. It's pretty much the exact same start as they had in the first game. Just constant aggression from Cringe crew. Not afraid to throw out any hooks, any abilities, you know? Because Realm is going to go for that no matter what. But we'll have to see how these lanes... This bottom lane should be the bully fest, though. And again, they decide, I think, even though Alexo ends up taking up the Tiny to make this Ricky a 4, which we'll see. I feel like it still ends up being a kind of a mistake, but, you know, as long as Devi isn't getting denied too heavily here from Realm, as long as he gets the creep pulls off, then he should be pretty happy. Actually, right now, the Warden, he's already primed here to take the wave, to meet the Ricky over on the side. The shenanigans, it's already started.
They're just going to pull in each other's general direction. We'll see if this actually meets, because Ollie's just taking this his own way. All the way back to Tier 2 territory. This is one of the dumbest things I have seen in quite some time, but... Oh my god, the Warden really is just gonna pull it all the way over, and Ollie says, nope, I'm gonna keep running. We're not gonna let you do this. We're gonna waste as much time as needs to be wasted.
Yeah, and well, with 4 HP regen and 6 armor, you know, the double wave will happen. He doesn't steal the next wave, so the sad thing over there for Devi is he is just laning in a 1v1 versus a Pudge that has quite a bit more base damage than he does, so... Well, I mean, guys, you're both too tanky. Nobody's gonna die here. I feel like we might even just stop watching you at this point.
What are we doing here, boys? Gentlemen, please. Somebody do something. They're just holding the waves. I don't know. Meanwhile, yeah, it's just farm between the cores on the other side as Devi did pop the Insatiable Hunger there. He's trying to get a little bit of damage in, and Realm... This is the downside of this particular exchange. If you try to pop the Rot and hold your ground, overall you are going to be taking a pretty substantial amount of damage, but Devi can only make that play occasionally. Without the Insatiable, you really don't want to take that right-click fight.
Yeah. And of course, once you get that Vanguard, well, jig's up. Game's over for you, effectively. Then you can't really put that much pressure on, even though I think Divine, he is a Broodmother specialist, so he will definitely kind of play his ins and outs here, as well as with all the shenanigans going on. You can't really get a courier towards bottom, so if Realm did need any more regen, you can't really afford to do so right now.
I love Dota so much.
The waves did finally meet in the end, so Ollie and the Warden just trying to fight over some experience, maybe a last hit or two if they can manage to get the timing down, but they're so preoccupied with each other, I don't really think the last hits are a possibility. So the sideshow kind of continues here from the supports. In the meantime, oh, up in the top lane, there's a bit of a play to be made. Flea gets tossed back under tower. Avalanche is very late from Alexo, and yeah, that's a little bit of a strange one. Flea's just able to walk away. He does take a fair bit of damage, and I don't know, Sammy was able to steal some damage away, so he gets a last hit or two. That's a bit easier, but you're kind of hoping for maybe a little bit more than just the harassment off the back of the initiation.
Yeah, and suddenly very stable. Just getting to play any ranged hero versus Razor. Really, the only thing they can do is hope for a toss back, but Alexa without boots is not really able to close the gap all too easily. But that's also where the Sven, he's out on the map. He's looking to grief some bounty runes, or some water runes, it would appear here. Just limiting out that Lena's mana pool. He'll even show himself to the Lena, and then suddenly, Bobatich is like, yeah, well, this kind of sucks. They do get a kill on the Pudge.
Ollie might be dying to zombies here. He's in a bit of a bad way. Yeah, the Warden will get a little bit of revenge, but that is kind of interesting. They go all in onto the kill, onto the Pudge. They fight through the Tombstone to do so.
Oh, it hurts so much.
Not able to finish off that kill, but up in the top lane, Sunlight does finally get taken down. This time the Avatos combo hits, and I don't know. Flea wasn't really able to do enough defensively to keep his teammate alive.
Yeah, he wasn't even there. He was kind of en route, trying to get back to the lane after griefing that water rune, but of course, in Dota, there's always an exchange. You get the water rune, sure, but you aren't in the lane for that play, and then suddenly you lose your guy, even though now the trade immediately happens. Sammy Boy's the one to get hit up.
He's got a lot of wand charges there, so he felt like he was going to be relatively safe, and sure, that pushes him back a bit, but he's only sort of pulled that far back because Alexo went for the creep pull here, so Equilibrium should kind of settle into something a little bit more favorable, as they're going to pop the glyph just to make sure they don't take too much damage on the tower either.
Yeah, an interesting play, because really,
Edict.
I'm not sure if that was for mid or if that was for top, but it just ends up feeling a little bit hollow here. They don't really get to do anything with their damage, even those suits. He's trying, really trying here for the mid kill. He's got 10 stick and a Fairy Fire, so he knows he can kind of afford, but with that uphill miss, he actually has to give up on the kill. It's a tragedy, honestly, for Suits. I've seen him get grief so many times now. But top lane, kills.
Yep. Alexo gets taken down up top. Sunlight, thinking about coming back in. He does need to be careful of that, though, but he won't pop that Fairy Fire. They set up the double stun. All of a sudden, the wand charges may not be enough. Sammy's in trouble. He's going to get taken down, and Cringe crew find it too. Hey, Ollie. Welcome to the lane. A little bit late to really affect the fight, but he is up here, so once the Razor returns, they could have a potential 3v2 play to make, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
With this many creeps, you'd love to go underneath the tower, but there's just not much you can do. And now if you're Sammy Boy, you're in this really awkward spot where, well, I guess I have to TP back to the lane that's already at my opponent's tower. It's not much of a lane to TP back to, but really, what else is there to do? And now you're almost level 6 on Sunlight, just got your Arcane Boots. You're feeling very happy with the way your game kind of stands right now. They still don't know where the Riki is. All they know is that the Broodmother's kind of on her lonesome down bottom, but Divide's level 6, so Divide does not care about this game anymore.
Yeah, he can afford to just kind of hang out, find farm, stay safe. They are bringing the Riki back over, though, so maybe a situation if Realm and the Warden get a little overextended, they could try to make a punish, but if that opportunity doesn't present itself, Divide's just going to farm, although Realm is starting to get a little low.
The hook?
Oh, well, that changes everything. Yep. Hook comes in, Divide wasn't ready, Ollie wasn't in position, and everything I just said gets kind of thrown out the window if you drop that low against a punch.
Yeah, just some overconfidence there, knowing, and I can only assume, felt like he had a grasp on what level the Pudge was, knowing that Realm was not going to get that Dismember anytime soon in those creep waves, but then you just kind of get raw hooked. You know, it's not like there was set up there. That's just pure skill from Realm. Probably his best hero, right up there with, I want to say his Dawnbreaker as well. Just the weird carry, I think, as he's kind of branded himself in a lot of these games, but I'll have to see what he's going to be able to do now, because the lane will get more difficult. Of course, if he ever steps out, all it takes is just a few moments for that spider army to get up there. And, well, here we go. Rude gameplay.
Yep. Realm decides it's probably best to leave. He has the Vanguard, but you still don't want to be hanging out in that area too much. But it's still going to take Devi a while to actually bring this tower down. He's making good progress on it now, but it's not going to be an instant kill, which does leave maybe an opening to work elsewhere on the map, as they are pushing their way in onto the Lina. They've got the double stun set up. The silence, excuse me, not the silence, the smoke screen coming through. They find the first kill. They get a second onto Alexa. They get a third onto Ollie, as the Warden snipes a kill with a level 3 offensive Soul Rip. Don't see that too often, but they clean up.
Yeah, what a tornado from Suits. Just perfect. Didn't mess up the Lina kill, didn't extend anybody's life by too much. And yeah, I think it goes for the Soul Rip build, just because, again, there is a Lina in this game. Those tombstones are not going to last too long, so
True.
might as well do damage while you can. And, of course, if you are in that Broodmother lane for any amount of time, you will pretty much get that max Soul Rip every single time. So I could see kind of a microcosm here where it doesn't feel like the worst thing ever. But that's also where Broodmother did just take your bottom tower, is now making waves towards your jungle. This is where there is still a Brood that we will eventually have to contend with, and I don't think Sunlight's the hero just yet. Leshrack's great, but he does need, I think, a few more levels before he can really go toe-to-toe.
There was an attempt from the Broodmother there, and it did do a decent bit of damage, but there we do see the Soul Rip build, and that was the point, right? When we see this Soul Rip build, it's normally exclusively defensive. You just kind of hold it to heal up your teammates, as he just did onto Sooth, so seeing him actually get a little greedy and deploy it for the kill is... it's fun, but it's a little bit more rare, but hey. You have that utility if everyone's safe. Why not snag a kill for yourself? Although I say that, the Warden's been snagging quite a few kills. He's at 3-0-2 on this Undying, so... you know, the support tax has been sort of in there a little bit more than you would expect, as... over in the river, thought that maybe they were going to try and start something there. That's a big EMP onto the Lina, but Sooth's is lacking in damage, right? No X-Sword on this build whatsoever, so the lockdown's great, but until the Witchblade's actually picked up, he just doesn't hit very hard.
Yeah, and of course, that's why he's getting a Witchblade, because as soon as he has it, he does actually have that aggressive potential. But here's the problem for Cringe Crew. As soon as they bring any number of heroes and show them towards the top lane, well, then the spiders come in, they start chipping away at your mid tower a little bit, and the spiders are all actually here, ready to pounce on his Sooth, and yeah, gets right-clicked once, you know, gonna go back in, get a few more bites in, a few nibbles, but that's where they do have to be very careful about what they actually show top here, especially with the Razor rotating out as well. Now, they do cause this kind of awkward position where the Razor and the Broodmother are both in the same lane, which is not what Wildcard want, but could also imagine that Devi just eventually takes over the triangle, because Razor cannot really farm those Ancients too effectively this early on.
Looking for the Midas build from the Razor into a BKB, so nothing massively out of the ordinary, I would say, from the Razor build-wise, but now there's some aggression coming his way. Will they be able to get onto him? Yes, they will. They sidestep the Broodmother. Not sure they even saw it, but still get a pretty damn valuable target there. They take down the Razor. I think they did, yeah. The Warden did see Devi, but at that point it's maybe a little bit too late to make the jump on him. Instead, they start splitting up. TP mid, defend the tower again, because that chip damage is always going to be there, but see, they find the pick.
Yeah, and honestly, a pretty easy mistake, I think, from Sammy Boy. Just one of the situations where I think if that was the Spider, then Devi probably is able to walk that one out, but, you know, they want to get greedy. They want to try and farm and utilize as much of the map as humanly possible, something that they are very, very good at, but at the same time, you can get ahead of yourselves. And if they can so subtly defend you, find those picks, and then move across the map, Realm basically took that top tower, and I think it did end up No, I didn't get denied either. Just ends up dying to creeps in a cart. So even though they're not really playing too aggressively here, they're not dying, they're farming, they're dealing with you. Really, I feel like Cringe Crew are also quite happy with the way this game's going.
And taking a look at the build from Devi, he's actually going in a slightly different order than what we normally see. He's got the Hood of Defiance first. Obviously, the Wraith Pact is still queued up. It's just normally we see the straight rush for the Wraith Pact. So, looking at the way he's building this out, I think he's just going to keep the Hood as a Hood and then go into the Wraith Pact, not go for the full pipe build until after. But it is maybe an indication with the Hood of Defiance picked up now that Devi's anticipating a little more fighting than usual.
Yeah, it is an odd kind of pickup because by the time he had this hood, the lane versus the Pudge was pretty much done. So it's not like he was really defending himself versus very much. Even though I do completely respect the pipe first, but now I feel like he's absolutely fine.
Yeah, he's okay. I mean, they burned all of his mana, but that really doesn't matter much. And Sunlight doesn't have much mana to fight with either, so you're not going to get the Lesh support in, and he's going to be okay. I guess he loses some spiders. Zeus picks up a little bit of gold there, but nothing too serious. Although over in the middle lane, that's a little bit more serious. The Warden and Realm push in on to Babatich, and they do find the kill. I don't believe they're getting the tower here. But tier 1 is still sitting at about half HP, and the reinforcements presumably are coming. Ollie's already here, but I don't know how helpful he's going to be, especially now that he's been spotted. They're going to stun him up. Realm misses the hook, so everybody's going to fall back, but Tower's still going to get really hit up here.
Yeah, no, you just go in, gonna do some really good damage. Not that much of a defense coming out just yet. The Lena is TPing back in, and with how low mana you are, I guess you could just start to walk away, but they're also trying to set up onto the Razor in the top lane. And I guess Suits is also getting set up on. It's a pretty nasty steal there, but Sammy Boy is standing proud.
Okay, they stun him up. Deafening Blast comes in. Ice Wall deployed. Damage is very slow out from this duo, and now Ollie's going to make his move, trying to jump in onto Suits. They pop the dust, though, so they do have the vision. Bold Snap was onto the Ricky as well, so he is kind of slow trying to get himself away. Looks like the Stormhammer will be enough to finish him off. Sammy does get out, though, just barely, but if you're Cringe Crew, you don't come away completely empty-handed, ET, but I don't know if they really try for that Razor kill again, at least just with those two heroes, because that was just too difficult.
Yeah, just, I think the leash going out a little bit too early on the Invoker, and then I think him not getting that much damage from his Chaos Meteor, so ended up being kind of a sad attempt on the kill. But with the attention so split across the map, now your Leshrac has a full Bloodstone, your mid tower did get taken down, because, of course, the Broodmother saw you were all top, might as well just go for it, and Devi was successful with his own play, but I feel like Cringe Crew are still meeting their opponents pretty much every step of the way. Now, there is going to be a breaking point. There is a Midas on this Razor. This is where Sammy Boy is probably just going to look to farm up until that BKB, but that's where I think Cringe Crew could certainly punish it, because the throwaway core has decided that he's going to be a farmer here. If they can make a play happen before the Lena has BKB, can only imagine that Babatich is just going to be helpless to that. And that is something that Wildcard have kind of thrown out the window with this draft. They feel a little bit unbalanced here. Every hero on their team wants farm. The Ricky wants his shard. Tiny wants his blinked egg. Ricky wants to be a core this game. By going for the Midas and not greeting out, you've effectively turned this Lena into the throwaway core, who's just getting a BKB. I don't know if that's going to be the right decision, though.
I don't think they thought that this was going to be quite as greedy a draft when they put it together, obviously, but yeah, you are right. You do sort of need a lot of items, and Ollie has the shards, so now he can kind of just take a step back and not really care about his own actual income, but you have a period in that 15 to 20 minute mark where everyone needs something. Half of those heroes then don't need much else after, but there's a bottleneck. As Devi is going to get... He's going to get stunned. That's unfortunate. Hook onto a teammate, and the play's dead.
It's too many cooks. Too many people that all want to kill the Smiter. A good deal of hate there, but Alexo, well...
Oh, he's dancing. He's hiding in the trees. He's going to TP out. The stun will miss, and he's gone. Oof. Hits him with the voice line afterwards. So that's twice, 2 times in a row, That Wildcard have dodged out what could have been a kill. Devi may have been a lot safer in his scenario compared to Alexo in the 2v1 there in that tree line, but they are buying time, they are farming up, and ET, listen, you look at the kill count, it's 11-2, it looks kind of bad, but in terms of the net worth, and the experience for that matter, taking a look at the graphs, this is not that big of an advantage. In fact, it's smaller than it was just a few minutes ago, so Wildcard, much like Game 1, kind of biding their time here, waiting for their power spike.
No, and one big adjustment that I absolutely love, Flea with his great early game, bought a Blink Dagger. Now we can smoke. In 2 minutes when it's daytime and nobody wants to make a play across the map, we can send our Sven and we can make something happen here. And also, look at Cringe Crew. They're forcing the Roche. They don't have a Wraith Pact. They're not looking for anything. They've got a Sven, and they do have an army of spiders coming in to scout them out, but this time around here, I think that they're just a little bit too set up in this bot lane. This is going to get a little bit tight here. That tomb came out a little bit late, so there weren't the zombies tanking, but I think just barely they're going to get a conceded Roche here from Wildcard.
But their heroes weren't even on the right side of the map, really, to go after that, so they do have to give it up, and Ollie may get a little caught here. He's going to turn around for the dart that keeps Flea locked away, and your Ricky does manage to get out of there. So at least you avoid that death, but now you got to deal with Sunlight having 2 lives and a Bloodstone. Actually got his Blink Dagger online. The Pudge now has an Aghanim Scepter. So Cringe Crew, I mean, it's mostly the same lineup, right? But the timings are better on the cores. The Blink Dagger choice for Flea, as you mentioned, instead of the Force Staff. It's a similar scenario, but the timings have all moved up, and Cringe Crew have the means to actually go after someone now. Maybe not Devi, though, because he did just finish off the Wraith Pact.
Yeah, Devi is kind of chilling, and Devi is very scarily still making his way towards that pipe, and once he has the pipe, well, the Leshrac needs to be incredibly careful. You have to actually bide your time with your Bloodstone timing. If you pop Bloodstone and you play not around that timing, well, you can die very easily. Meanwhile, bottom, though, they're looking, and they did catch onto him, but I don't think they'll stick onto him. Because, yeah, just very difficult lineup to actually stay on to anybody with the Invoker. Kind of have to have that perfect ordering of spells, otherwise they do start to walk away. And now, for Wildcard, well, double BKBs finished up, Blink Daggers flying out onto Alexo. If there was ever a timing, now would be it.
The order's a little messed up, but Alexo does manage to get into the fight. Sunlight, though, blinking directly on top of all of them. He is dishing out a fair bit of damage, but it's only enough to kill the Tiny for now. He's going to start to back away, but there's going to be the Tornado into the EMP. Tombstone was thrown down, but they quickly clean it up. But that is going to effectively reset this fight. Devi, awkward spot to be in. He gets clipped by the stun. Can they actually finish him off, though? More importantly, can they finish him off before the reinforcements arrive? They got the dart in onto the Invoker. Here comes Bobatich in as well. Zeus is very low on HP. They need a little bit more damage, but they can't catch him. Yes, they can. Devi able to get the kill there with the nuke from the spawn spiders, and it's still not looking fantastic. Sammy was left all by himself. His BKB popped in the first phase of the fight, so obviously no magic community to work with. So now Devi, he needs backup, but everyone's just too far away.
Sunlight's just carrying so hard. Dude, really great job from the supports there. Just an endless battle for control over this high ground ward to make sure that it was pretty much impossible for the spider to leave. But at the same time, Sunlight is just jumping every target he needs to jump. He finds his way into the Razor. He finds his way into the Lina. Wildcard staying after their BKBs just really ended up griefing them in that team fight. And sure, your Pudge was not involved at all. It's kind of sad. Realm only has 2 Flesh Heap stacks. He doesn't get to be a winner in any respect, really. But at the same time, your Lesh comes out swinging and so strong with this Blink Dagger. I mean, after the fight, he buys Boots of Travel and still has 800 gold in his back pocket.
You got to imagine Sunlight feeling a little bit better. We talked about game 1. They put him on the Visage, and he didn't get to be all that active. He did a lot of farming. He did a lot of split pushing. This time on the Leshrac, he's got the build. He's able to jump directly into the heart of these team fights and just be a much more active and frankly effective presence. His Flea, that is a bold move, but here comes Sunlight TPing onto the creep wave, so Alexo has to leave.
Yeah, he is the big man of campus. He's the BMOC. He will run at you. He will force you out. He's going to take over your map now. And sure, again, once Devi has this pipe, that's a slight answer And this time around, Cringe Crew do not have those 4 steps. They have not given that same level of respect as they did in game 1 versus the Ricky, but they're just playing for their own games. I think almost in being more selfish and playing less like a team, they're finding a different type of success. And Alexo, well, the connection, this comes from Sunlight, and this is just a very dead Tiny. Oh, he's working it! Doesn't matter.
Okay. Seuss comes in, is like, you guys aren't gonna let him go. I'm just not gonna let that happen. Finds the kill. Still, never mind. I was gonna say still had a DD rune, but it wears off literally as I was saying it. But they're smoked up. They're pushing forward. They're looking for something. Their smoke pops, so they do go for the dust. They'll see Ollie, and that's gonna be an easy kill to follow it up. Flea manages to yoink it right at the end there, but now the TP top. They're looking for this fight as well. They got the Razor caught out. Sammy is just going to go for the BKB TP once the Dismember ends, and yeah. But the value of the BKB, after Dismember, there's just no more cancel.
Yeah, and they still are being very obnoxious, getting that bottom wave all the way in, making sure that somebody still has to constantly respond to it, but at the same time, the funny part about this lineup is, well, if one person has to TP back, as long as Sunlight's still out, you can still get objectives. You still have this really good pressure on the map, and now Sammy Boy showing mid.
Yeah, they know he has no BKB. That is rough. That's a death. Yeah, that really no one's going to be able to do anything about. Ollie comes in for the sleep dart onto the Sven. We do see a Force Staff come into play there, enough to get him away from trouble, and Sammy Boy just didn't think that they were going to collapse on him mid, but that is a rough loss. Devai is going to sort of step into the frontline role here. Oh. Try and hold them off as Flea. He blinked in, but he didn't get the stun in time. He gets it now, but now it's not really as important.
They're being real annoying. They're sleep darting, they're bowling, they're aving, they're doing a lot of ings. They're being very obnoxious, especially because Sunlight doesn't have a BKB, so even the left track needs to be pretty cautious. That's where that Aegis did allow him to just play so much more up front, and now he does have to kind of take a step back where really all of Cringe Crew could probably look for their BKBs next and then feel very confident for this next stage of the game, but we'll have to see. Because now I think we're going to see the game really start to slow down. Of course, still, everybody wants items. Everybody wants so much farm on Wildcard. But if this game does slow down, this will allow a lot of those cores to actually catch up.
Just hoping for that little bit of time. Because, well, most of their cores do need it, right? Those next big items, we see a Refresher being queued up by the Razor. You're trying to finish off the Silver Edge on the Lina. Of course, Devai, realistically speaking, already got everything he kind of needs to be in these fights, but he's looking for a Spirit Vessel as well, because why not? Just make those cores a little bit less effective in terms of their ability to heal back up. But they're looking for the fight right now, and they do see Seuss. Can they lock him down? You get the Dart, you get the Avalanche, you get the Silence, you get the Toss. They have the Static Link going the whole duration, but Seuss is not dead. Healed up with a massive wand there. Now with his teammates coming in, Wildcard, do you still want to be here? They clean up the Tombstone fairly quickly, and the Warden is actually going to be sacrificed, but Realm's in. There's the hook. The Meteor comes out, but BKBs had already been activated, so Realm is the one who's caught out by himself, and well, the answer to the previous question, ET, was hell yes, we still want to be here, because the response from Cringe Crew was just kind of broken.
Yeah, and they play themselves a little bit there. If the Pudge has his BKB, I feel like that could have been a team fight for them, but they kind of just waterfall in one after another. They do get their gem out, and, well, Flea. Okay, that's really funny. He actually just passed the gem off to the left track, but the Invoker as well, he's also in trouble, but they're going in. They know there's no BKBs, but Sunlight versus the world.
Yeah, it's quite literally Sunlight against everyone. He has lost his only teammate in this fight, and they're not going to push much further. Sunlight is still unbelievably dangerous, right? Even with no teammates in the field with him. It's not a fight that they wanted, especially considering your Lina had basically no HP, but they find the pick. Why is there a Kobold? Well, he's dead now, but there was a Kobold up on the ward spot. Not sure how he got there.
You know, the game is still very funny. I don't know if that's just some crazy foresight from Flea there to pass the gem off to Sunlight before he blinks on that Arcane Rune, but I mean, gem's still there. That's pretty nice for Cringe Crew. Not really sure why he did it, but hey, it worked out for them. But now that Roche is only a minute away, of course, gotta be so careful. It's where those buybacks, you need to be very cautious, especially on your supports here. You try and bait it out, get an advantage, but look at that. Bobatich has a completed Daedalus. He is so ready for this next fight. He is so prepared. Mid lane, though, oh, Alexo gonna lose his mana, but...
Will he just pop God Strength? I think he was assuming there was going to be a bigger fight there than there actually was, so... God Strength is down. Roshan's 35 seconds from respawning, so the timing's going to be kind of not great, but... At least Flea's not dead. He's still going to have the stun to throw out, the armor to deploy, and... That is going to count for something, but no real damage with the God Strength gone.
Yeah, and missing a lot of strength as well, which, you know, it's okay. It could be worse, but now you kind of want to delay this game as much as you can, so that way Sammy Boy can finish up this refresher and have 2 BKBs in that next fight, which looks like should time out pretty nicely here, but now it's literally just a matter of whether or not Wildcard's remaining lineup can delay you enough for the Razor to actually finish off his big item. Because as soon as he gets it, they're running at you. They're immediately just going to look for that huge engagement where double BKB, and you're going to get kind of bopped here. But Cringe Crew, they want to force it, but I honestly don't feel like they're going to be confident enough to. Instead, yeah, smoking for the pick instead. And Lina, that is your pick. Oh, he feels like it's up.
Fast fingers on the BKB, so Bobatich is going to be okay for now. Puts your BKB on cooldown, obviously, so now maybe Cringe Crew can continue looking. That's exactly what they're doing here. They are pushing forward with a hell of a lot of confidence, but that's not the hero to hit. Sammy activates the BKB, so the Stormhammer doesn't connect. They will still lose the Lina, though, in Realm. Realm's not actually dying. The Dismember's healing him back up. Sammy's the one who's going down, needs some sort of backup with the hook. Pulls him back into the fight. Meanwhile, Tabai on the other side of the engagement, trying to keep anyone distracted, but the meteor is going to land directly on his head. The damage is going to be there. Sammy still falls. Tabai goes down as well. Now they'll lose Ollie to the north, and Alexo, good blink, getting him away. He's going to survive for now, but the cores go down.
Yeah, again, it's unlike the perfect jump. He finds the Lina. The Lina can do nothing aside from just sit there and basically die. And then you realize that Devi is the only one hitting the tombstone. It's just a perfect isolated team fight. Nobody was actually able to get in. And Alexo, with the vision from the spiders, he's looking for a steal. But, oh, and they missed, but... oh, it's too early. Yeah.
Yeah. It's worth a try, right? You're the only man up in that area, so... see what you can do, but it's not going to work out. Roche goes down, ages into Sunlight's hands. I believe the shard was taken by Realm there. Yeah. He's got the Dismember to eat his teammates if someone does get into trouble, and honestly, I mean, he wasn't going to buy it for himself, but getting it for free, you can bail somebody out, right? We've seen a couple of heroes get in some dangerous waters in terms of their HP, and Realm obviously is unbelievably difficult to bring down, so Wildcard are going to have even more trouble. And honestly, talking about a hero getting low, it might not be as complicated as that. Just eat whoever gets started and go fight.
Then it becomes a matter of how fast can you run away, really, if anything. And then, well, we'll see. Because I feel like a lot of the time he will just, especially once the blink dagger's up, just blink eat. But that's also where Ollie...
that's a problem.
We didn't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, no buyback available for him. His death timer's not that high, though. 30 seconds on the sideline, but Wildcards still do need to fall back at this point. They're going into full-on split push mode here, ET, and it's kind of hard to argue against that, considering they'd be fighting into Aegis if they tried to force it.
Yeah, and at the same time, just a small play that happened around the time when they took that Roshan, but Suits got their glyph by just hitting their tier 3 top, so all these outer towers, they're just going to get Leshracked. They're going to get Edict down. Even the tier 3, once they eventually approach, is going to eat that damage. So every second that they're on these buildings, it's just going to work, and this is where they just blitzkrieg through your base.
That's a change to the glyph system that honestly, I mean, it happened a little while back, but I still feel like sometimes teams aren't fully not understanding, that seems a little bit too harsh. They know how it works, it's just they haven't fully adapted the playstyle to compensate for it.
Yeah, it definitely, I think, incentivizes this almost cleanup of the map control. It's where it really does, I think, kind kind of incentivize you pushing a tier 3, forcing a reaction, and then you just clean up everything else. Because now, if Cringe Crew wanted to, they could head towards top and then decide to make a play there, but instead they're going to close the map. They still know if they get onto that tier 3 and almost landed with the hook. So close, actually.
Devi gets to walk away. I think they were able to, yeah, either blink or force Steph Realm down from that high ground that he ended up on. And, well, you were talking about map control. Cringe Crew are starting to push their way out. Of course, Wildcard are still doing a pretty solid job of getting their cores out into these side lanes. Giving up the occasional kill here and there, I suppose, but they are just trying to bide their time. How long on that Aegis? Still 2 minutes, so they've got to wait a little while longer. But now, Zeus has a Lincoln Sphere, so he basically cannot be the dart target. Oh, okay. Yeah. And there's exactly why. Lincoln's popped, BKB active, now Sunlight's into the fight, and Bobatich has no backup. His BKB comes out way too late to matter. They did not check the items before they jump in. Sammy actually gets caught on the back line there too. Flea and Realm jump in. That is straight up the worst case scenario. They lose the two most important cores in the field for Wildcard, and their base is going to get hit up now as well.
Yeah, and, well, they're creep cutting. They only have this one wave in top, but here's the other issue. You don't have Glyph. You'll have Glyph once your tower gets taken, but are you going to Glyph your racks? Well, that's not going to kill the creeps. So the creeps are here to stay. They're going to just keep on going.
One fell swoop there. Cringe Crew able to just get into the base. Now the Glyph will come through to try and hold the middle lane, but where are heroes in general? I mean, everyone's out of the base right now.
It has to be a double buyback. There's no other way unless, okay, it looks like Sooth is going to look for the hunt, but Alexo cancels him, and is there any real reason for them to go, though? I don't think so. And now you're in the awkward timing. 20 seconds before your cores would want to buy back. Okay, they are going to respect the Broodmother. They are going to actually leave with the Leshrac there. I feel like they could have gone further if they wanted to. Maybe wait for the Warden, but now they just need to not get caught.
Yeah, get out cleanly. Okay, not quite as clean as they want, but the Dismember actually caught the Bylama. Alexa's going to be forced to buy back, and Wildcard they have to go in, but Realm has the BKB. TP's home. Here comes the TP from the Warden. Also completing, and... well, I guess you force out a BKB charge. That's something, but Wildcard really did need to catch an actual hero and a real kill there.
Yeah, just unfortunate. The Aegis is gone now, though, so something to be, happy with. Your Leshrac isn't just going to be able to blink, stun, Raw on the back line like he has been. Does have to play a little bit more scared for his own life, but at the same time, I feel like Cringe Crew got their opponents right where they want him. Another smoke up, though, looking for a big pick. Both the cores still have their buyback. They did hold on to it. Iron grips on their buyback fingers. Just not letting them get in that really awful position, but at the same time, 2 racks down, all they need is a creep wave in, and then suddenly this tier 3 without Glyph for 3 more minutes. Next up on the chopping block versus Leshrac. They almost have to jump outside of the base, I think, to get that perfect fight.
But now, there is a Lotus Orb picked up on Realm, and this Lotus Orb can just ruin everything that Wildcard want to put together. If you reflect the Dart, a Laguna, even something as simple as the static link from Sammy. It just kind of breaks apart your team fight as they are starting the fight right now. The Meteor is going to go out. They caught the Lina. Bobatich really didn't have anyone to help him. The rest of the team is just too occupied over to the east. That's going to force out a buyback. The Lina trying to get back in. Teammates have to hold while they do so, but they are starting to lose some heroes. Alexo goes down. Sammy forced to pop the Refresher. He is going back in with another BKB, but the Dismember's going to lock him down, but Bobatich is back in. Laguna Blade onto Sunlight, not doing the damage, though. They're not able to finish him off. Now the stun connects onto 2. Devi is just desperately trying to run, but if he runs, it means the Lina's alone. And that's it. They lose the fight. They're going to lose the games. The GG will be called. They go all in on one last attempt, ET, but they're on the back foot right from the very start of that engagement.
Yeah. I think too much of a game for them to play. Just too hard. I think with the heroes they ended up going for, so many comfort hero picks, so many things that they kind of stretched out. I think at the end of the day, Wildcard probably assumed that they could get away with it. They feel like they're probably the hotter team in the lobby after game 1, that they would just be able to make this game work for themselves. But really, once things stop going their way, you start to see the issues. You start to see that heck, for the first 20 minutes of this game, not that much happened. Simply because Wildcard couldn't make anything happen. They were at the whims of Cringe Crew and maybe some of their early on mistakes, but aside from that, just felt like all of their timings were so delayed and so far down the line, you just didn't really get to feel a lot of that impact. And of course, Divide takes over the bottom half of the map. He's ready to farm, he's ready to put pressure onto the towers, but then the Westrax game is too good at the same time, and you aren't able to shut him down either. I felt like really the weakness of that Razor tiny lane going with the fact that your mid laner is also not rotating just ended up becoming so much of a problem. It snowballed the game out of their own control.
Yeah, they just had no activity, right? Everyone was just kind of locked down in their own situation, and there wasn't really much movement. So Cringe Crew took advantage of it. Honestly, we're leading throughout pretty much the entirety of the match. As we take a look at the graph, there's that brief moment here around 30 minutes where Wildcard do manage to take a fight or two, but beyond that point, it was all Cringe Crew. And for the Cringe Crew members who came over from KBU US, this might feel a little bit more relief for them, because going back to that KBU lineup, they had lost 5 straight games against Wildcard, if we include, obviously, the Game 1 loss. So they finally kind of get that monkey off their back. They get a win. They take a 1-1 split in the group stage. And ET, you know, we've done quite a few of these pro series. We always do like to talk about that. With the best of 2 round robin format, just don't lose. Just don't get O2'd, and you're always going to be in a position come the end of that group stage to at least compete to stay alive.
No, it's where the 1-1s, as much as it is early on, and we've got a lot more to say, in terms of these games that need to be played, but just having not only just buffing you up in the strength of schedule, but just having okay, we won one. We are a tie with this team coming now for the rest of the game. Anytime we match up versus Wildcard numbers wise, we might have the leg up. We might have that advantage for especially that bubble that forms in the middle, which it always forms for those 6-6, for those 7-8 teams.
Yep.
It always happens. So these 1-1s, they honestly always come into play. Of course, you could also say that for the 2-0s, but 2-0ing is a magnitude harder. But coming up with our next series, we could be seeing a 2-0. I think we've got some pretty big hitters here coming up next.
We move from an NA matchup to a South American one. It's Infamous versus Infinity. So it's going to be interesting, because this matchup is one we saw a lot ET in times past, but the rosters look very different this time around. So things are going to be a little unexpected, perhaps. But as you said, could still see the potential for a 2-0. It's just maybe not clear who's going to be the one doing the sweeping in that scenario. But that is going to be the next matchup. We're getting the teams ready to go as we speak, so we will be stepping away for just a little bit, but when we return, it'll be the start of another best of 2, Infinity versus Infamous, coming your way next.